Well, that went fast. 27 minutes. I am here, this is part 2, explaining the story of Rahu and Ketu in Vedic astrology. And they've just ran out. So carry on. You need to go and watch the first part. Right. Where was I up to? An Ashura by name Rahu Ketu disguised himself as a diva, the devil, and sat amongst them. It's the planet between the moon and the sun causing the solar eclipse. The sun and moon god noticed this and decided to warn Mohini. Now they've already mentioned the moon, and now they've got Mohini, and I said Mohini was the moon. But you've got to try and ignore that. Now you've got to think it's meaning a broader picture, a broader meaning. The sun and moon god noticed this and decided to warn Mohini. Warn him. But Rahu Ketu already consumed the emirate. Yeah, I'm not quite sure there, but Rahu Ketu is already consumed. He's already got the system into the brain, the body. It's affecting him already. So the moon is set between the sun and the moon. Fluid has been released or starting to prepare. Yeah. After knowing this, Lord Vishnu severed the demon's head severed the head, right? And this is the severing the head. This is killing off your old way of life. So all spiritual. It's not physical death. And awakening you to the other life, the spiritual life. Severing the head, which is going back to the head, the sun of the body, is separating it. That's why it goes dark. So it goes dark because he separated the light from the vacuum here, so that it's gone dark. It's somehow, at that particular spot, when the planet's right there, the sun has gone dark. There's no light there. Okay, it's severed the head. So the head's come away. It's come out of this. It's been turned off somehow. Severed the head. That's the head. The sun and the body. Okay. Killed the old head. Severed the head with his Sudarshana chakra. This basically represents at a time. In Christianity there's a time, and half a time. It's just representing the whole divine event at that time. Since the demon was immortal, his head and body became separate. His head and body became separate. Separate the moon and sun with the planet. Greek distortion. I've forgotten what I put there, what that meant. Since the demon was immortal, his head and body became separate. Oh, okay, separate. That's when you're. He's now immortal, so he'll go on for eternal life, and his body will die, carcass drop dead, but he will go on spiritually. But the common man who doesn't wake up, his whole system will reincarnate and have to go through the whole thing again until he does actually wake up. But once you've woken up, spiritually you do not have to reincarnate. You have choices. Right. Everybody became separate entities. Later his head became Rahu. You got to think Rahu, sun, Ra, but separated by the third entity. Rahu, the third entity. So he's separated by the third entity, the planet in between them. This is one of many trilogies. Well, it's a complicated story. We're making it complicated. These two shadowed planets are the enemies of the sun and the moon according to Vedic astrology. Because they're killing the sun. They make it sound all terrible, like the beasts and devils and all that, but it's all a divine event. It's just the killing of the dumbness. Yeah. And enlightening you into the spirit world, the truth, the wisdom, the knowledge. That's where it all comes from once you're woken up. You think you know what you're talking about down here. You think you know stuff because you've been to school. You think the scientists know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. Science is supposed to represent a higher understanding. They don't understand. They haven't got the pineal glands open. It's the right hand side of the brain. More of this. They think they do, but they're not awake to it. They don't understand the divine numbers 3, 6 and 9. Or if they do, they're not letting on. They don't want you to know about it. No, we don't know anything until we wake up. Right. According to popular belief, Rahu and Ketu chase the sun and moon in their orbits. Now, this is what we think down here, they're chasing the sun, but the sun is here. It's close to the centre. This is a black hole. Ooh, nothing goes on in here. The sun is always moving quicker than everything else. They seem to be catching up to the sun. They never catch the sun, so they're doing more of a circular motion. But the moon is goes out and around it. The sun comes in between the sun, inside the inside track to the moon. So the moon does more of an elliptical journey, a wider journey. But it's the sun that's coming along and catches the planets that overlap. What do they call it? Laps them in the course. Comes over and laps them. Laps the planet. Planets are never catching up to the sun. The sun overlaps the planets. So it's at that time. If it all happened at the same time as there a new moon, or full moon or a new moon, in between the other two bodies, that's the alignment. That's the Trinity. That's the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. Whew. When they succeed in catching and swallowing the sun and the moon, it leads to a solar and lunar eclipse. But they cannot hold the sun and moon for long, as they too had the nectar of immortality. They don't hold them for long because there's your planet, the sun catches up. Let's get something smaller. I've done this before. The sun catches up, bang, it's still all moving, and then the sun moves off it and leaves it there because it races ahead. And this is also quantum jump. I'll put another video. You see the star or planet there, and the sun comes over it. That's the last time we saw it. Till they move around and the sun moves off it. Bang! It's there. The sun keeps going. Quantum jump. That's how it works. Getting stifling hot in here because it's the middle of summer. It's about 25 degrees outside. That's pretty hot here for New Zealand. Right, Rahu and Ketu remedies. According to Vedic astrology, Rahu and Ketu are shadow planets that have no identity of their own, because we don't see it, we don't know it, because it goes in behind. It went in behind the sun came over it. So there's nothing there going on, you can't see it. So of course it comes off, but we all think it's doing retrograde and all sorts of other weird stuff, but this is what's happening. It is believed that they have malefic effects, supernatural means. They do, they affect the human brain. But it has to be that the ultimate is that divine time in spring, when you've got the strongest, the moon is closer to the sun. The moon has come in because you do no longer have elliptic, yet it's all equilibrium. You put something on an angle, spin some water on an angle, it's going to be more elliptical. but at the equinox it's level, so it becomes more circular. And that's when the moon comes in a little bit more circular. So it's that time, September, the spring equinox, at the same time between 3 in the morning and 3:30, and the full moon. There's the trinity there. According to popular belief, if Rahu and Ketu are present in one's horoscope, the person will suffer their malefic effects. Yeah, if the moon is in your sign, and the Jesus one, it was in Pisces, but his physical birth was in Capricorn. Understand? There are some remedies that can help reduce the negative effects, blah, 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 but that goes into exaggeration after that, religion gets carried away. But anyway, remedies to reduce Rahu's malefic effects. Reciting the Rahu Bij mantra. If Rahu isn't favourable in your natal chart, chanting the mantra 18,000 times, but that's rubbish. 18 times, not 18,000. It goes Om Brahm Barim Brom Sa Rahav Naha. It's all about vibrations, the meditation, getting those sounds. You have certain sounds, you're down here, you'll feel them here, you feel them here, and you feel them in here. It's these ones here you want, but you've got to work your way up. It takes a bit of practice. But once you get it vibrating inside your skull, you're up there. And this is the thing, once the waters get released from your pineal gland, it becomes more of a drum. You get the vibrations happening more. It's all to do with frequencies. Everything in our world is all about light and frequencies. Resonating frequencies. No water on that part of the brain. Knock knock, hollow. Whoop, whoop. So that's basically it. Bit complicated, but you can always rerun it, get it in your head. So shall I read it quickly? We've got time. See if I can do it a bit quicker this time. Rahu and Ketu are shadow planets according to the Vedic astrology. They have no independent identity. They could male and female. It's a duality anyway. They come together in this particular time and date. They do not rule any zodiac sign while they're hidden and behind the sun. Also, they cannot be characterized as male or female. They denote the 2 points of intersections in the orbits of the sun and the moon. They're the ones coming between the sun and the moon, okay? That form the solar eclipses. Rahu and Ketu are shadow planets that form the points of intersection of the sun and the moon orbit. They are one of the most important aspects of Vedic astrology. The solar eclipses leading up to the divine awakening in the spring. Rahu and Ketu story dates back to the Sumendra Manthan. According to the legend of the Sumendra Manthan, the Devas and Asuras, that's the devil side of your body, and the good side, the magnetic field that's going to awaken. Or you could say electrical. Well, there's all sorts of dualities, but it's basically the devil, you being tied down, bound by the devil, not waking up yet. You haven't raised your kundalini, your chakras, and asuras, that's the magnetic. Churn the oceans to obtain the Amrit. Churn the oceans. So it's the magnetic forces of the moon moving the oceans, and the sky actually parts a little bit, and then affects the moisture, the water in that pineal gland region. Your pineal gland sits in water, and then release it, the flood that goes through your system. You get the nectar, the anointing oil, the pituitary glands all mixes with the blood. As a result, Lord Vishnu took the form of the Mohini. It's the full moon, a beautiful woman, distracted the magnetic field, or probably attracted the magnetic field by obtaining that, and then someone got the Amrit, the magic going on. In the Jesus story, a lot of magic goes on. Magic, magnetic field, magic. And Asuras by name Rahu Ketu is the time. Rahu Ketu disguised himself as a deva and sat amongst them, the planet sitting amongst them. In the Trinity, the sun and moon, God noticed this and decided to warn Mohini, but Rahu Ketu already consumed the amulet. So in some stories they try to make out you've been, the devil's got to you, screwed you, killed you, whatever. But it's all good stuff. You've been affected though. It does affect you for the first 40 days because it's out of the blue, weird stuff. You need to go into the desert for 40 days. Stay away from people till you get to understand what's going on. After knowing this, Lord Vishnu severed the demon's head, which is killing off your old way of life. That's your death, and then there's the rebirth, born into the spirit world. Nobody got slaughtered, blood and guts, and that was it's a nice story. But there's nothing terrible about it. It's a divine, beautiful awakening. So it's all at a time. Sudarshana chakra. It represents a time, a special time. And the last special time was September 2017. They've written about all the stars aligned. The exact same thing happened according to the Bible. People haven't clicked onto that though. I've done videos on it. Since the demon was immortal, his head and body became separated. It's the separating again, separating the sun from the sun's head from the black hole. The black hole vacuum, the sun separated them. In other words, turned the sun off. It went dark for that short time of the eclipse. Later his head became Rahu, the sun that separated from the third entity. Rahu. Ra meaning the sun, Hu meaning the third entities come in there at this divine time. And the body became Ketu. So Ketu also at a time represents a time, Ketu, time. But also, maybe they call this part Ketu and these Rahu. But it all represents a special time. It happens. So according to popular belief, Rahu and Ketu chase the sun and the moon in their orbits, but really the moon is chasing them. The sun chases them. It looks like the planets are chasing the sun, but the sun is faster and overlaps them. And when they succeed in catching up and swallowing the sun and the moon, it leads to a solar lunar eclipse. So it looks like something's come over and covered it and made it all dark, doesn't it? But no, it's all a chemical reaction. Nothing up there is physical. It's that's the 369, non-physical numbers. Nothing up there is physical. There's no big rock hot sun. NASA is 100%, 150% lying to you. There's no pictures of a burning, fiery rock, complete garbage. The sun we see is a reflection, and it's all to do with magnetism, quantum physics, electrons, positive, negative. They're meeting in the magnetic field. It's a long story, but it's all coming from the center point here, and we see it out here. Everything is a holographic projection, but there's obviously energy in here, and electromagnetic field. The energy, electrical, magnetic, come together. There's the sun, all in there, probably the size of an apple. The black hole, vacuum, it's an amplifier. We live in a realm, an amplified realm, and it's all related to this. We're all connected. What is in here is up there. Not here, there's the body, but in here. The structure, there's the human brain. The flow of the magnetic field. It's the same as the human brain. If you don't believe me, check out my other channels. There's a few sites you can go to. They describe all this as the solar winds. What is the solar wind? Where's the solar, the sun? Yeah, what's that? It creates the electrical magnetism, electromagnetic field. Out it goes into our realm. Amplification, blue shift to red shift. Everything is moving. Einstein's cosmological constant, continuously going out. All goes back to a point of singularity. Tesla spoke of that. That's about all I could say. Matter, antimatter. It's dualities. Matter, antimatter, vice versa. Hot, cold, whatever. North, south. Serpent on the head, the Uraeus. It represents the magnetic field. You see the snake up the backs of many cultures and the statues and stuff. Asian cultures mainly. Amrit, nectar of immortality, the Christ, yeah. And we got the Christian one now. We don't see it like that. But there's the cosmic egg at a divine time, the equinox. Everything is level. Level, hasn't gone perihelion out to the southern summer yet. It's not up there at the northern summer. It's equal. It's a divine period. Everything is equal. Oh, get your head around that one, eh?